Addressing distrust, fear, and fairness in Southeast Asia. Hi, my name is Irfa Puspitasari. I teach in International Relations Department, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Airlangga. There, I teach global diaspora, refugee and migrations, international relations in Africa, international relations in Latin America, and sustainable development. During the process, I learned together with my student on the mentioned topic. My research interest is in maritime issues. I engage in social community development with relation to migration. China is a fast-growing and gigantic economy. It has high technology, abundant natural resource, largest population and territory. It is a powerful economy, but the question remains, is it a benign power or is it detrimental or both? What should East Asians do? My background influenced me to conclude three important things to consider while discussing engagement with China. First point, adapt from China, lesson from Africa experience. My second point is on diaspora and China's vaccine diplomacy. And my third point, what are the options for Southeast Asian? During my learning process while teaching IR in Africa class, I came across a research article in which the author mentioned that China is doing debt trap diplomacy. It is a predatory loan for infrastructure development. When the country cannot pay back the loan, China takes control a key area. While engaging with partner, China requires that its partner acknowledge China's territorial integrity on disputed regions such as Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and the Nine-Dash Line in the South China Sea. The last claim is alarming for the disputing parties in Southeast Asia. Between 2008 until 2012, a lot of African countries enjoy a condition near to financial freedom in which its external debt was the lowest. However, with the new traditional partner, it began to change. Years after 2012, the median debt to GDP ratio in the region is back over 50%. Shifts happen from concessional source to market-based domestic debt, with higher interest rate, shorter maturity, and unpredictable lender behavior. Debt has grown, but less debt relief. In countries such as Sudan, Angola, Kenya, Gabon, and Mauritius, debt to GDP ratio rise above 60%, and most of it from China. Let's take a closer look at Djibouti, in which public external debt rise from 50 to 80% in just 2 years, the highest of any low-income economies. Much of it borrowed from China Exim Bank to fund projects such as two new airports, Port El Gobet, Old Terminal, Toll Road, and Addis Ababa Djibouti Railway. One of its ports served as China's naval base. Africans might not be worried of the source where the debt came from. From an African perspective, the concern with debt is focused less on the source of the debt, rather on whether the government used debt responsibly, whether debt payments will lead to a reduction of government's financing of goods and services, and whether the debt is economically productive. From several countries' experience in Africa, with regard to debt from China, we can consider at least four things with regard to debt. First, the inclusion of guarantee or clauses in debt agreement that will ensure job creation, knowledge transfer, and technology transfer. Second, African government need to present their countries with plans on how they intend to manage debt going forward and address citizen concerns about spiraling debt. They should present a clear breakdown of the national debt by creditor and how it will be managed responsibly. Third, Africa needs to play an active role in defining the narrative on Sino-African relation with regard the further complex with the West in post-colonial era. It is time for China commentary on Africa to reflect the complexity of the relationship, The emotive impact of depth in the national conversation especially demand clarity and honesty. In here, we can easily replace Africa with Southeast Asia. It I came across several articles on China's diaspora policy and witnessed a phenomenon during China's vaccine diplomacy related to its diaspora policy. Public diplomacy has been applied by China to engage with its diaspora. It might projecting China extraterritorial power beyond its territorial realms without surrendering state sovereignty over its citizens. For example, through soft power with its culture. The nationality law of the People's Republic of China was adopted in 1980 and excludes the possibility of dual nationality for Chinese citizens. Nationality based on country of birth rather than on paternal bloodline or consanguinity. However, China offers transnational inclusion by way of privileges on return and by conducting a range of overseas language, cultural, and media programs and activities. For example, Law of People's Republic of China concerning the protection of rights and interests of returned overseas Chinese and relatives of overseas Chinese. Diaspora policy carried on through several institutions such as Overseas Chinese Affairs Office and its local branches, which are now to be found in all provinces, the so-called mass organization of All China Federation of Returned Overseas Chinese, China Overseas Exchange Association, the China Jigong Party, the Overseas Chinese Affairs Committee of the NBC, and the Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan Compatriots and Overseas Chinese Affairs Committee of the CPPCC. And what that have to do with China's vaccine diplomacy? During pandemic, China is engaging health diplomacy all over the world, including Indonesia, and it is well received by Indonesia. Satgas COVID-19 Indonesia, Doni, said to the ministry who handle immigrations to stop travelers from India during a second wave pandemic in India in the early 2021. The interesting things happened in public diplomacy front, where we could find huge of information, and some of them are exaggerated with visualizations, videos about the worsening conditions in India. And there is a one interesting video. The narration is in Bahasa, and it is carried on by a person of Chinese diaspora. And so I can say that the Chinese diaspora plays a role in the, in the in China's vaccine diplomacy to influence the public. Now we arrive in the end of these presentations with more of questions rather than conclusion. Is China's step safe for Southeast Asia? Is it fine that China still claim the Nandas line in the South China Sea? Will Southeast Asia country just serve as China's backyard? So what are actually the options for Southeast Asia? With its gigantic economy and influence, China is difficult to ignore. It is rather impossible not to engage with China. But if cooperation with China is an option, then what kind of collaboration is good for all of the parties involved? Will arm race an unavoidable circumstance for Southeast Asia? Is the Quad a good solution for Southeast Asia? Or non-block is an option? A lot of fear that need to be addressed here. Within each of Southeast Asian countries and without. Or is it possible to maintain ASEAN way? Because if we do not possess the muscle, then perhaps we could reconsider morality and humanity.